All right, and this is Morning Express time for us to look at the dailies, and joining me to do that this morning is the Member of Parliament for Kibra, that's Honourable Ken Okoth. And before we look at the dailies, just something I wanted you to highlight is a bill that was passed yesterday, and this is the Prevention of Torture Bill. Maybe just to tell us a little bit about that bill and what exactly it hopes to achieve.
I think our constitution is very clear that torture is forbidden, freedom from torture. On the section about the rights of the child, it says children should be treated in certain ways, including they should never be tortured. But we never had a law that really explained what is torture and what are the punishments for people who engage in acts of torture. So we've been struggling to do this bill over the last 4 years. I'm very proud I brought it as a private member's bill. In the end, I had to cooperate with Honorable Aden Duale, who was very helpful to move it faster through the House before the time runs out. The Prevention of Torture Bill will promote human rights of Kenyans to make sure that state agents who can participate in acts of torture understand what are the definitions of that crime, and victims of it can be compensated, and that the Kenya National Commission on Human Rights and the Cabinet Secretary will be reporting to Parliament every year. Are cases of torture going up or are they going down? What measures are they taking? So you have to put even in the curriculum of the training of police, Kenya Forest Service, Kenya Wildlife Service, National Youth Service, the City Council Askaris. I mean, Katie and the other time, a few months ago, had a program called Kanjo Kingdom, where City Council Askaris were torturing people, beating them up, harassing them. So those are the things we're saying. The Constitution tells us people are free from torture and should not be tortured, but there was no law about it. Now there's a law. You saw even in Eastleigh, when the police shot that boy in broad daylight, and they'd already arrested him. They should have taken him and pushed him through the system, send him to jail, send him to reformation.
So this technically is just waiting for the president to sign, and then it becomes law.
Yes, and I think it had already gone to the cabinet for consideration, and we've known that torture doesn't work. A lot of people say, but we're fighting the war on terrorism. If we catch potential terror subjects, shouldn't we torture them? We have learned that even in places like the United States, they ran a secret prison in different places in Europe and the Middle East, in Guantanamo Bay. They tortured people, they did waterboarding, but none of the information that came out of torturing people was reliable. And you saw Kenya has had a very sad history. Even our Truth and Justice and Reconciliation report, TJRC Commission report, talked about it. The Nyayo Chambers, Nyati House, people were arrested, detained, tortured. Most recently, people like Willie Kimani, he was just a lawyer doing his job, a human rights defender. He got caught up in some case that was being covered up. Police were abusing their powers. It doesn't mean all our police are bad, but there's some elements that can be bad, and we need a law that will tell them you can be held accountable.
All right, then let's finally look at the dailies before we wind up, and we have the Standard with NASA 3-day retreat on who will face Uhuru. And I don't know, there's been a lot of debate and a lot of talk on who the presidential flag bearer for NASA is going to be. There was even a report this week that apparently the committee had settled on a Raila Kalonzo presidency. Your comments on that?
I have actually seen a leakage of the scenarios that that committee looked at, and wherever you play it out and game it, whichever combination of those 4 people, the combination that has a winning chance is a combination with Raila on top. So me, I say basically, you know, last week Nyanze told us...
Are you saying that because you're in ODM and he's
no, because we have the numbers and we can see where Raila comes from scientifically, and his popularity across the country. If you don't put Raila on the ticket, there is no victory for NASA. So when Honorable Nyenze last week threatened and said, no Kalonzo, no NASA, me, I'm not threatening him. I'm just informing him, actually, no Raila, no NASA victory. We can stay in NASA, yes, but if you're not putting Raila at the top of the ticket, the few days remaining, 123 days to the election, I don't think any other candidate can do it.
So you don't see that going any other way? Definitely, whatever combination they take, Raila would have to be.
And Raila's support base, people like myself and others, I think if you don't put Raila on the ticket, what he brings automatically about 40% engagement for the country, you're guaranteed. Then we had to add the 10 or 15% to reach 50 and 55%. None of these other candidates reaches 20. So you'll just kill the enthusiasm. You know, if you don't put Raila on the top of the ticket, you're guaranteeing Jubilee.
So does ODM have the courage to meet their conviction, in the sense that if the combination, or if by consensus or whatever they agreed that there was a different flag bearer, would ODM go it alone?
Based on the leaked reports that I have seen, the scenarios, of these other combinations without Raila on the ticket, none of them is going to make more than 40%. So Jubilee is going to win. So unless they're coming to us and telling us now they have thought outside the box beyond the 4 principles, and they're going to give us new, fresh candidates that we've never seen, let's say maybe a woman candidate. You see, that's a sad thing. Jubilee are stuck with 2 men at the top of their ticket. Can NASA find and convince us there's a credible woman candidate for president and deputy president, or somewhere on the ticket? That would be different. Maybe somebody young, maybe not even someone from any of these mainstream ethnic communities. Can you find a Joho from the coast? Can you find a Nanok from Turkana? Something new and fresh out of the mainstream, yes. But otherwise, the formula right now is, and it's not a threat, it's just telling you. For us in ODM, and for many people in Kenya who can see the obvious, it's time to declare the candidate
would ODM
and
be
get
brave
us to
enough
campaign.
to go it alone if you really believe that it's
No.
Raila?
ODM, we hold ourselves to promises we have made, and we will not betray the coalition. If the coalition decides it is Kalonzo Mudavadi, or it is Mudavadi Wetangula, or Wetangula Kalonzo, whatever combination, we will support that, and myself will do the most of it. But please declare it soon. All I'm telling you is from the intelligence and the leaked report and the analysis that has been done, none of these combinations gets us beyond 40%.
What about
the only one that gets us there is Raila. So me, I'm saying no Raila, no NASA. No NASA victory without Raila.
Without Raila. And
yes.
What about Kalonzo Musyoka? He's been touted, and there's been, all sorts of rumors going around. And unfortunately, with Kenyan rumors, most of the times you find there's a bit of truth. Your thoughts on Kalonzo bolting?
Well, Kalonzo was on the Jeff Koinange show the other day on a competing media station, and he talked a lot of things. At one point, I must say, he even said the idea of him being governor of Nairobi was welcome, which I thought was a little reckless, or maybe he was just being funny. But you cannot say he's willing to compromise to be governor of Nairobi. If you're one of the principles of the coalition, what we are looking at, and the lineup is Raila for president, Kalonzo as deputy president, let them fight it out. They have the track experience, the campaign experience. Go for it. We are ready to support you. Please declare. But don't start giving us sideshows that Kalonzo could be comfortable as Nairobi governor. That messes so many other things. Because as Nairobi, we already tunajipanga as a NASA
so from
team.
What you're saying,
we know who our governor team is.
Do you think he's
Mweke and Kidero. So you cannot threaten Mweke and Kidero by saying there's an idea out there and still time to bump them off and put a Kalonzo for Nairobi governor. That would be such a low stepping down. Leave those things alone.
So do you find Kalonzo as a credible leader, given that you're saying some of the things he said were reckless?
I think Kalonzo is very experienced. I think he has a lot of talent in diplomacy and other things. I think the time now with 123 days left is not the time to throw wild ideas out there. It's a time to take us as your supporters very seriously. These principles don't exist in a vacuum. They exist because we are willing to sacrifice and support them for a vision to change Kenya. So let them focus on that. Let them sacrifice their egos and ambitions. Let them work for us to transform Kenya. When they become president, deputy president, they don't own that office. They stay in that office on our behalf and must utilize the authority of the state and its resources to serve all Kenyans fairly, to implement the constitution fairly. That's what we want. So I think, to me, credibly, no Raila, no NASA victory.
No NASA
Put
victory.
Raila up there. So there will be NASA, but there will be no NASA victory. I'm saying something very different from what Nyanze was telling us, which was blackmail. No Kalonzo, no NASA. No.
That's not the way it is.
We want victory. And
Finally,
so chief minister position,
yeah,
like a prime minister, we need that. I think someone like Musalia Mudavadi with his experience in finance and other ministries, local government in the age of devolution, we can have him in a position like that. And then we look at the leadership of the National Assembly. We win many seats, and we make sure someone like Moses Wetangula, an experienced lawyer, is the Speaker of our National Assembly, and then they work as a team to make sure the laws out of Parliament are laws that promote our Constitution.
Let's finish off with Kibra, and you are going for a second term
yes.
Kibra as Member of Parliament. Yeah. Do you think the nominations are coming up, and in ODM there was also word that Rosemary, Raila's daughter, would be maybe going against you. Do you think you'd get fair nominations?
That's a very good question. First of all, you mentioned Kibra again. You're taking me back home. Today is the day you're doing music. You asked me my hobbies. One of my hobbies is music, singing. I'm not a very good singer, but I love singing nevertheless. So musicians out of Kibra is a home of talents, and it's been an honor to be the MP of Kibra. We've got artists such as Octopizzo doing rap. We've got Grandpa Records giving us hits such as Fimbo Chapa. So those are all young people from Kibra showing talents. It's been an honor serving because that's my home where I came from. I'm running for re-election because I think I've done a great job. I think my party leader has confidence in me. I think the citizens who voted me in will have ticked that I have done a good job. I've not let them down. And I always have advocated women should come into politics, elective competitive politics. So I welcome Rosemary, but what is most important right now is to pray for her health. I know she's undergoing treatment, and we're praying for her family, we're praying for her. She's a mom, we're praying for her parents, Raila and Mama Ida. So that's the most important. But our nominations are on the 23rd, and I ask my supporters, please come out and vote for me in the ODM nominations. I'm determined to win.
And you believe you're going to get fair nominations, even if you're going head-to-head with Raila's daughter?
I think I will get a very fair hearing because the seat belongs to the people of Kibra. And when you go to nominations, you're asking the people of Kibra to endorse you to serve them again. And I think it won't be decided by the party at the top. It will be decided by the party members on the ground who live in Kibra.
Thank you very much. Honorable Ken Okoth, Member of Parliament for Kibra, being our guest this morning. Thank you very much. That's where we'll have to wind up this interview. But do stay with us. We'll take a short break. When we come back, it's time to, well, look at what has been hot this week. Do let us know what your hot topics have been this week as we get ourselves ready. We'll be right back with Hot Topics.